Hello and welcome to Insights in Action with Orange 142, where we interview agency leaders and business owners to uncover the journeys, strategies, and insights that drive their success. At Orange 142, we're all about transforming brand stories into impactful digital experiences through innovative media and marketing solutions. And today, I'm very lucky to be joined by Kyle of Big Red Studios and Barker. How's it going, Kyle?
Oh, it's going great today, Shiv. How are you?
I'm good. I'm so happy to have you on here. And Kyle, just to start this off, I'd love to understand a little bit more about you and your background, and a little bit more about Big Red Studios and Barker.
I am Kyle Burt, and I am a filmmaker and advertiser for Big Red Studios as well as Barker, New York City. I've been working in advertising and filmmaking for the last 15 years and am really happy with finding fun stories
Yeah.
in all different aspects of our lives, whether it be a business side, whether it be a fun artistic side or family side. I'm a storyteller through and through.
Yeah. It must be so fun to be creative and have that come through. And just to start this off, first of all, I'd really like to understand for those who don't know, what's the difference between Big Red Studios and Barker? Because I know Barker is an agency that's been around for a really long time. How did those two things come to be?
Barker started as a design and branding firm about over 20 years ago. And I think advertising has been at the center of media for since its inception, at least in a more digital and visual video format. Barker is a full advertising agency that offers strategic, creative, and production resources for any sort of business marketing needs, B2B, B2C, campaign development. You need a Super Bowl commercial, you need an email campaign, we gotcha. We do the whole spectrum of what it is to be a marketing and advertising agency. And 2 years ago in 2023, I started Big Red Studios to be purely a filmmaking and artistic and creative space. After working with a variety of large and small clients, you learn a lot, and also you get this itch that you want to do something yourself, or you want to do something that your friend makes, or have a little bit of more of a freedom that you don't necessarily get in a client services space. It is Barker is like the sort of business side, and Big Red is the creative side.
Awesome. Wow. And those are two really good things to have. And it's really interesting because I think back in 2016, 2017 is especially when I really realized this. And I like, that's when I was really just entering the workforce and just getting settled. So I noticed this about the agency world that everybody wanted to start an agency, and B, every agency was trying to be everything to everybody. And so I really appreciate that you guys have these two separate, almost sister companies that operate hand in hand with each other almost. And you guys specialize in filmmaking and video production and whatnot, and the creative aspect of it. And then you leave the business aspect of it, like you said, to Barker. I like that you guys do that. And that's something we try to do here at Orange as well.
Yeah, I think that what you say about agencies trying to do everything is not just something specific to the advertising and the agency world. I think everyone struggles with that idea of, oh, wait, I can do it all. And as a producer, I can tell you that you can't do it all. It is impossible to do it all. Every production is a collection of different skilled crafts people who have a different expertise, and it's bringing it together to make something magical together. So I think understanding what is the one thing that only you can do, that no one else can do, one is critical for your business. Because yeah, I could be a project manager. Yes, I could be a client services person. Yes, I could be new business. But the one thing I know I'm really good at is this production space. So I find other people to help me out in those other areas. And I think the lesson we're all learning is that we need to surround ourselves with people that understand our mission and what we're trying to do so that they can go and do more for us while we're not around, while we're not
Yeah.
sleeping or busy in something else, doing the one thing only you can do.
Yeah, yeah. I love that. And that's one thing I loved coming here to Orange 142 as well. That, hey, Orange 142 only does media buying. That's what we don't do creative. We don't do any of that. We're really good at buying media, whether that's CTV, OTT, or Google pay-per-click and all that stuff. And then what we try to do is partner with other agencies that are really good at the creative side and the branding side. And I think that combination works really well because I think once, like you guys do, once you can bring two aspects together that work harmoniously, it just ends up way better for the client. That the client's getting the best of both worlds. And I agree. I think that it's starting to go away. I think agencies are starting to become wise to it. I think there's a lot of burnout as well in the agency world and that happens when you say yes to everything, every project, and say yes to things that you can't necessarily fulfill on. It's that. And so now I think we're moving, and it seems like you guys just a look from the website of both Barker and Big Red, you guys do that very well.
Yeah, I think I appreciate, thank you.
Mhm.
I thank you for that compliment. I think that two different elements coming together can make something interesting or exciting or simpler or smoother, or there's balance that comes with not necessarily opposing elements, but just differing experiences. And that's something that I think is specific to the independent agency world and the idea of it's not a corporate machine. We are all independent thinkers, independent creators. We are beholden to ourselves and the clients that we work with. So I think finding other like-minded folks, whether it is a more corporate-minded space or a more independent-minded space, is another factor that can go into the greatness of the work that you
Right.
create.
Right. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's a really good point. And so I want to shift gears here for a second to something interesting that you mentioned off camera. But you mentioned creating sustainable jobs for LGBTQ plus artists. So I'm curious, how do you practically build that mission into your business model and your creative process?
That's a great question. Every business is in service of creating something to create a profit. You're providing a benefit to somebody at a way that is sustainable for you to keep doing and providing it. And I think that as a member of the LGBTQ community, I have seen how often the turnover or the burnout or the tokenizing of hiring staff through diversity efforts and then just letting them go because the wind changed directions is something that has impacted me and my friends significantly.
Yeah.
And by making it the mission of Big Red Studios, it every job and every project is held to a criteria or a lens that I don't see in other agencies. Does it have the right values behind it? Does it have the right financial capital behind it? I want to pick at that because a lot of times people assume that when you go to a quote minority business or a diverse business, you are then going to pay a lower cost because they're not white or mainstream. And I think that I would just want to decouple that. There is so much financial responsibility that comes with running an agency, regardless of what your background is.
Yeah.
So you should be making decisions that are based on your quality of the product that you're trying to get, as
Yeah.
opposed to some of these belief systems we have.
Yeah.
So how do I do that in the day to day? It's making sure that everyone feels safe and comfortable in the working environment, first and foremost. I don't think that I wouldn't feel comfortable bringing on anybody to the team if who is part of the LGBTQ community or who is a person of color or women or if you're pregnant or if you're disabled. If you don't feel safe to be here, then there's some work we need to do. So that safety that we have here, both at Barker and at Big Red, is something that I think allows the work to flourish in a more organic way.
Yeah, yeah. Wow. I like that approach. And honestly, I think a big part of this, and I'm glad you're here on this podcast, is awareness because I hadn't even thought, and maybe it's in my own ignorance that I hadn't even thought about like the challenges that some people in the LGBTQ plus community face about things changing winds and then that them not being needed anymore just because of the community that they belong to. That's wow. Yeah, I hadn't really thought about that. And it's really interesting. I think there's a lot of parallels here too, because Orange 142 under Direct Digital Holdings is the ninth company, black-owned company to ever go public. So we have that like
Mm,
the DEI requirement. So I know that there's some of that stuff that we deal with as well. And I think that your point about there's this old axiom, right, where the short-term decisions lead to long-term losses. I think it's something like that, right? And I think
yeah,
that rings so true here because if you're going after something just because you think it's going to be a better deal, it's not going to end up well. You know what I mean? There's skill across various communities, right? And but the making sure that people feel safe and comfortable, I think that also that brings the best work out of them.
absolutely. And in today's world, we are in a global community. I am regularly talking with vendors out of Europe and India and Asia and Africa and Central America. We have different people working at different agencies or different like production houses or other crafts folks for any number of the services that we provide, and the ability to work across these different cultural experiences, these cultural differences, is such a powerful thing to have and to continue honing because it's a skill. I think when companies decide to go away from having diverse talent, they are also going away from the opportunity to create better work.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to dive into this aspect a little bit more, but just a little bit different. And so you've mentioned a desire to talk about asking for help. So I'm
Mm.
curious, what's one moment, if there is one, in your entrepreneurial journey where asking for help changed everything?
I think that asking for help is a very difficult thing for myself. I can't speak for everyone else, but I do see the similar challenges and like frustrations and like the curling of your face when you're like, okay, I need help, but I can't say that thing. And so one of the moments where I needed to ask for help was a situation where I needed to be in two places at once. I had my regularly scheduled work routine where I have my client calls and then we go into the client work. But then you have that wonderful new business opportunity that comes up. You're
Mm.
like, okay, wait, it was a director that was interested in a film piece and they said they had a free time that opened up randomly. And so I'm like, okay, you make it work. You have to make it work. So I, this was about a year ago, and I was somewhat new-ish to having more clients on the big red side. And it, I needed to ask someone else to do what I do best. I needed someone else to be that marketing and advertising brain to work with the client through the round one of their logo development and their logo design. And I felt scared to release some of that. And I think that's why I didn't want to ask for help because I was scared of the possibility of it going wrong. And what ended up happening was that it did go right. Now, yes, it could have gone wrong, but I was using all of my creative energies to think of this worst case scenario to
Yeah.
prevent myself from asking for help. And asking for help empowered my team member to step up into this leadership position and help make some of these executive decisions to guide our client through this round one like logo exploration,
Yeah.
and not just, hey, here's what we did, do you like it, but okay, but what's underneath it? Why are we liking it? So that we can further develop the design language for the rest of the brand. It was scary in that instance, and I think I picked a small scale item because I think asking for help in a small way is how you start asking for help in the bigger way. Because
Yeah.
I think it's fear inducing
Yeah,
to say you don't
exactly.
know something.
Yeah, yeah, and it's really I like what you chose right there because I think it shows a pivotal moment for you as a leader, as somebody who leads Big Red Studios, because I think that's a big thing. You see this happen with leaders all the time. They get people that have been working in a position for a long time, they get promoted into a leadership role. They're used to doing everything themselves, and then it's a new skill that they have to learn to be able to delegate things or to be able to ask for help. And where did this idea that, and I think there's two things, right? One is I'm scared that if I delegate this to somebody, they're going to do this wrong, or I'm scared if I ask for help, it's not going to end up the way that I want it, or I'm scared to ask for help because it's going to make me look weak. So there's like those two things. Like, where did that idea even start? Though asking for help makes you look weak.
Yo, that's a really good question, Shiv. I've not thought about that. Why
Yeah,
do we
where does that come
assume it's
from?
weak?
Yeah,
What came up for me now is the idea of men don't cry. Okay, but it's just something that's been passed down
yeah,
and talked about. But is it true? Is it why are
yeah,
I think I think shame is the biggest reason why. I think there's a lot of shame around like not knowing or feeling like you don't know. And I think that I have found more strength in admitting that I don't know something because when I tell somebody who is more expert or experienced in something, and I say, I don't know why this works, but I like this, they'll say, oh, I made these decisions because I know that whatever the thought process that was behind it. So saying I don't know or saying, can you help explain that to me? It has helped me learn to like about someone else's craft and why they made their decisions. And
yeah,
maybe I could see if they made a decision that I'm not a fan of, maybe two or three steps behind, as opposed to like at the very beginning. So I think replacing the shame around asking for help with some
yeah,
curiosity
yeah. Yes.
is has been
It's
helpful for me at least.
Exactly. Yeah, I remember I was listening. What really changed my mind on all of this was I was listening to this podcast, surprise, that I forget, it was a big podcast, but this lady came on. She's a confidence coach. People pay her thousands of dollars a year to increase their confidence, to help with their confidence. And the host asked her, what is this a moment that you noticed in real life where you saw the biggest, you're like, wow, this is a really confident person. And the lady,
Mm.
she could have picked anything. She's worked with thousands of people. She's seen confidence. She's a confidence expert. And she said, the moment that I noticed there was confidence, like in the room with the specific person, was I was in class in college, way back in college, and in front of the professor was explaining something, and this girl that was sitting a couple rows down from me, in front of everybody, raised her hand and said, "I don't understand what you're saying right now. Could you please help me explain this a little bit further?" She said that was the biggest one, and I was like, wow, that is really interesting that you chose that out of everything. And I was like, wow, like that is confidence. Just being able to admit that you need help with something is the ultimate form of confidence.
Yeah, that makes sense because you are confident, comfortable enough with the existing situation to
Yeah.
say, I don't know this.
Yeah.
And you could pretend that you know it and maybe catch up a little bit, but that opens up room for maybe errors or miscalculations or inefficiencies. And yet, I bet you half of those students in the auditorium also didn't know what was going on.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So like for one person to
So
say that, it's awesome. Almost not asking for help in a way is like show it like that's your insecurity coming out, right? So
yeah. Like someone I don't know why this is coming up, but like, someone needs somebody else to start the buffet. They need like an excuse
Yes, exactly.
to, oh, so I wasn't the first one, but I'll happily be the second
Well,
person in line.
yeah,
Because I
exactly.
someone else, I bet you, like asked a question immediately after that professor started re-explaining something.
Yeah.
Someone else was like, "Okay, wait, but can
Yes.
you?"
Yeah, wow, what a great title for a book on confidence. The first person at the buffet. If anybody's listening and wants to write a book on confidence, that's a great title.
First person at the buffet. I
Yeah.
love it.
Kyle, this has been awesome. Thank you so much. I love the direction that this episode went. Where can people learn more about you? Where can people learn more about Big Red and Barker?
You can follow us on the various social platforms at bigred.studios on everything. BarkerNYC.com is our big advertising site for the large clients and anyone who's feeling like a more independent or small business, come to Big Red.
Awesome. Cool. Thank you again for being on. This was great.
Yeah, thank you, Shiv. I hope you have a great afternoon. I'll talk to you later.
You too.